Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Thursday, the 8th day of May, 2025. And we've had three huge stories that have broken since we were with you last, so let's get right to them. First of all, we have a new pope, the first American to hold the office. Second, according to Reuters now, this has not been confirmed by Donald Trump, but according to Reuters, Trump drops Israel ties as a condition for Saudi nuclear talks. This is something even Joe Biden didn't do, so we'll see how this plays out. And finally, satellite images reveal a secret nuclear site that's just been seen now for the first time. All right, huge stories. Let's get to them. Headline number one, we have a new pope, the first American to hold the office. American Cardinal Robert Prevost has been elected the 267th pontiff. He has chosen the name Leo XIV, a senior cardinal deacon announced. The 69-year-old Chicago native is the first American pope and is seen as a diplomat in the church. On Thursday afternoon, local time, white smoke billowed from the stovetop chimney atop the Sistine Chapel, and the bells of St. Peter's Basilica rang out, signifying the cardinals had elected a new pope. The cardinals cast at least four ballots at the Vatican before a cardinal received at least two-thirds of the vote. He mentioned Pope Francis twice and explicitly said he wants to pick up where the late Pope left off on that very balcony on Easter before giving Urbi et Orbi blessing, meaning to the city and the world. We have to be a church that works together to build bridges and to keep our arms open like this very piazza welcoming, Leo told the crowd while speaking in Italian. His full authority and jurisdiction began immediately upon his acceptance of the office prior to the public announcement. He's supposed to be somewhat of a moderate from what we've heard, but again, we know very little about him. We'll just have to wait and see what he actually does. But he said he's going to pick up where Francis left off. Now, does this mean more wokeness in the Roman Catholic Church? Again, only time will tell. So we have the first American as the Pope. The 267th Pope is the first time an American has held that office. Most of them obviously have been Italian over the centuries. And he spent a lot of time in Peru. He's supposedly a great leader. He's a moderate, we're told. On some things, he's conservative. On other things, he's more liberal. Again, only time will tell. We don't know. But according to the Roman Catholic Church, he is the voice of God on the earth now. He speaks ex cathedra or from the chair. His word is the final authority in all matters of faith and practice. So he speaks infallibly when he speaks as the Pope. So we had these fallible cardinals pick the new infallible Pope, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right, now in another shocker, and this one's a real shocker. In fact, this story, him being the Pope, is quite a shocker. He was not on high on the list of the ones who were thought to be the possible Pope. Headline number two. Trump drops Israel ties as condition for Saudi nuclear talks. This is a Reuters story. The United States is no longer demanding Saudi Arabia normalize ties with Israel as a condition for progress on civil nuclear cooperation talks. Two sources with knowledge of the matter told Reuters ahead of U.S. President Donald Trump's visit next week. Dropping the demand that Saudi Arabia establish diplomatic relations with Israel would be a major concession by Washington, major with a capital M. Again, if this is true. Under former President Joe Biden, nuclear talks were an element of a wider U.S. Saudi deal tied to normalization and to Riyadh's goal of a defense treaty with Washington. The kingdom has repeatedly said it would not recognize Israel without a Palestinian state, frustrating Biden administration's attempts to expand the Abraham Accords signed during Trump's first term. And Biden held the line on that. Until you have this recognition of Israel, we can't, go ahead together and sign any agreement or go forward, specifically about nuclear talks. Now, under those accords, the United Arab Emirates, that's the Abraham Accords, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco normalized relations with Israel. Progress towards Saudi recognition of Israel has been halted by fury in Arab countries over the war that's raging in Gaza. The nuclear talks had also stumbled over Washington's non-proliferation concerns. And a possible sign of a new approach. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said that the Saudi Arabia United States were on a pathway to a civil nuclear agreement when he visited the kingdom in April. When we have something to announce, you will hear it from the president. Any reports on this are speculative. This is from UN National Security Council, U.S. National Security Council spokesman James Stewart. He told Reuters in response to comment. In other words, any comment on this? And he says, when we have something to announce, you'll hear it from the president. So we wait to see if this story has been confirmed by Trump. If so, the burning question is, what exactly will this mean for Israel? Lots of speculation now, but we will wait and see what develops. And as can be imagined, when this story broke on the Israeli websites, you had a lot of anger, more anger directed towards President Trump doing something even Joe Biden didn't do, bypass Israel and going direct to the Saudis and coming up with some type of nuclear deal without Israel talking or putting in its 2 cents with respect to its red line on something like this. Again, Biden did not do that. According to this story, again, it hasn't been, agreed to or at least publicly stated by Trump that this is true. And so we'll have to wait and see. But if true, it would be very problematic for Israel because there's been a number. We gave you a story earlier today, one yesterday. There's another one that came out right after we finished today from, it was in Hebrew, but then translated into English from this site, Israel Hayom means the day, that said basically the same thing that Trump seems to have abandoned Israel. Israel is reeling from this, not knowing what to expect, what's going to happen next, how much they can trust him, what they can do and go forward, because he's going ahead, first of all, with the discussions with Iran about coming to some type of nuclear agreement. The other thing, of course, the Houthis, just we had that, 2 days ago, Tuesday, where he said he's got an agreement with them. They're not going to shoot at each other. And so that's going to stop any attacks in the U.S. on in this country on the rebels there. And then this story today from Reuters, if true, that Donald Trump has agreed to talk to the Saudis about a nuclear program and nuclear energy and that directly without any any consolation with Israel. Again, like I said, we'll have to wait and see if it's true. But if it is, this would be very problematic for Israel. And we will again give you the latest. So another huge developing story. Now, speaking of huge developing stories, how about this one? Satellite images reveal secret Iran nuclear site. This is from Israel National News. New nuclear site reportedly protected from U.S. bunker buster bombs located in the Semnan province, Fox News reports. In other words, it's at a place where even the bunker buster bombs can't get to it. According to the report, the secret site is located in the Semnan province and is believed to be linked to the development of nuclear weapons. The site is codenamed the Rainbow Site in Iran and covers about 2,500 acres. The newly discovered site is believed to have been operating for over a decade using a chemical production company as a cover for its nuclear activities. The site is reportedly used to extract tritium, a radioactive gas that increases the explosive yield of nuclear weapons. The site is also reportedly protected from American bunker buster bombs, making it nearly immune from military attack. The discovery of the secret site comes as the U.S. is attempting to reach a new deal with Iran to end the Islamic Republic's nuclear weapons program. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance participated in an onstage interview on Wednesday at the Munich Security Conference, during which he discussed the nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran. Asked if the deal with Iran would be similar to the previous one made by the Obama administration of the famous or infamous JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, made in 2015, Vance pointed out two major points where the New Deal must differ. The enforcement or inspections regime was incredibly weak. Actually, they're non-existent. I don't think it actually served the function of preventing the Iranians from getting on the pathway to nuclear weapons. Of course it didn't. He added that we believe that there were some elements of their nuclear program that were preserved under the JCPOA that, while they weren't nuclear weapons, they allowed Iran to stay on the flight path towards a nuclear weapon if they would flip the switch and press go. According to Vance, there is a deal that would reintegrate Iran into the global economy. That would be really good for the Iranian people, but would result in the complete cessation of any chance that they would get a nuclear weapon. And of course, as far as Iran's concerned, that is a non-starter. That will not happen because the whole reason for their existence is the destruction of Israel and eventually the destruction of the United States of America, which they've been saying for 25 years because they're guided by the Ayatollahs there who have been given these great visions of Allah telling them that they're his designated, people on the earth to bring Islamic rule worldwide, the final Mahdi, the 12th Imam. And this is part of their last days theology. So what they're going to do is do whatever it takes. And they believe, as a Shia Islam, this is who the Iranians are, believe that it takes a conflagration, a great nuclear attack to bring in the final, ruler, the last Imam, the final Mahdi, as it were. On the other hand, Sunni Islam believes that happens not by great catastrophic events like this, but by basically covering the world with population. In other words, increasing the population of Islam in this country and that, and eventually taking over the world that way more peacefully than with Shia Islam. So anyway, this is where we're at on that. And so we've got that concern. Speaking in a televised interview on NBC's Meet the Press, Trump clarified total dismantlement. That's what he said. Yes, that's all I would accept. He added, I want Iran to be really successful, really, really great, really fantastic. The only thing they can't have is a nuclear weapon. And he said they must renounce any ambitions of developing such arms, stating the world will be destroyed if the Islamic Republic succeeds in developing them. Well, that's not going to happen. God already tells us in his word the world won't be destroyed. And it's interesting, isn't it? Matthew 24, Jesus said, unless those days were shortened of what's going on in the final 7-year period, there wouldn't be any humanity left, no flesh left on the earth. But for the sake of the elect, and in this context, that's Israel, the world won't be destroyed. The Lord will intervene. Now, with respect to this secret nuclear site just revealed, here's what I've learned. First of all, it's not a secret. It's been known about for 4 months already. And second, and here's the key, don't be surprised if some accidents happen to this newly discovered site. And I'm going to leave it at that. So let's sum up. We have a new pope, of whom we're not sure which direction he will take the Roman Catholic Church. We also seemingly have a new agreement in the works between the U.S. and the Saudis, which on the surface looks like it will bypass Israel, something that even Joe Biden didn't do. And finally, the so-called discovery of the secret nuclear site is not really secret at all. Furthermore, let's keep an eye on it because we all know how accidents can happen in Iran. Of course, all these stories, these 3 stories that are broken today are still developing. We'll keep you posted on what we find out and try to avoid speculation because people are speculating wildly, particularly over the story between the U.S. and the Saudis bypassing Israel. So the speculation is rampant. We never try and do that here. We just tell you what's going on when we know some facts. And again, this has not been confirmed yet by Donald Trump, but we will see. Stranger things have happened. So, as always, I'm Don Stewart. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.